Coming up at TV20 News at 5, Hurricane Milton barrels towards Florida less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene's devastation. An update on the storm as officials urge people to leave.
Plus, Vice President Kamala Harris visits North Carolina meeting families affected by Hurricane Helene and rolling up her sleeves at a donation center.
And former President Donald Trump reflects on the July 13th assassination attempt that nearly took his life.
Plus, talk about a double win for the Rattlers. FAMU football and volleyball take down Alabama State. We'll break down the action and reaction.
We'll have all that and more. TV20 News at 5 starts now.
Live from Florida A&M University on the highest of 7 hills in the capital city, covering every corner of the Big Bend. This is the award-winning FAMUTV20 News.
Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall this week as an upgraded Category 5 storm. Welcome to News 20 at 5. I'm Victoria Montanez.
And I'm Caitlin Walsh. Governor Ron DeSantis has issued a state of emergency and is urging people in parts of the state to evacuate.
This is video of people in Central Florida preparing ahead of the storm. It could bring life-threatening flooding and winds up to 150 miles an hour on Wednesday.
Our weather anchor Autumn Dancy is tracking the storm. Autumn, what's the latest on Hurricane Milton?
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Victoria. So what started off originally as just a tropical depression with a maximum speed of 38 miles per hour off the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula has now escalated to a Category 5 hurricane. When it was just a Category 3 just a few nights ago, as it pushes through Mexico, it has now maintained speeds of up to 160 miles per hour as it continues on an east-north path towards Florida. We're anticipating that this storm is going to increase in speed up to even 175 miles per hour. Scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association released data suggesting that August has been the hottest August on record in the history of recorded weather data. These unprecedented warm waters and areas of low pressure and the Gulf have made the potential for this storm even higher and have turned Milton into a Category 3 yesterday and a Category 5 today. This will lead to devastating storm surge for entirety of Florida. Meteorologists are calling Milton's rapid intensification, quote, mind-boggling. Professional storm chaser Colin McCarthy shared on X, quote, there are simply no words to describe the extraordinary intensification that we have witnessed in this storm today. As it progresses from a Category 5, there is hopes that it will minimize to a Category 3 as it approaches Florida's coast. It's moving 9 miles an hour northeast towards Florida's west coast. But what does this mean for the recovering Florida who sits in Milton's path? I'll go more into detail on Milton's projections and some hopeful updates and how Floridians can prepare later. Caitlin and Victoria will give us more on how Milton is affecting those on the ground.
As people are recovering from the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton is on the rise. Milton is moving towards Florida from the Gulf Coast as a Category 5 hurricane, and it will make landfall on Wednesday afternoon. Hurricane Milton is heading towards Florida as a Category 5 hurricane, but it's expected to weaken to a Category 3 by the time it makes landfall on Wednesday. Milton comes almost 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated parts of Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky.
We have 51 counties in Florida currently under a state of emergency. The executive order that I signed over the weekend also orders all disaster debris management sites and landfills to be open 24/7 in the lead up to Hurricane Milton.
The National Hurricane Service says that Hurricane Milton is expected to hit Florida's west coast and move inland across the state. Felicia Bowser, a chief meteorologist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, says people on Florida's west coast should worry about storm surge.
You don't want to be around when water is rising. It could cause for some pretty significant damage to your home, let alone to putting you in harm's way.
Bowser says strong winds are another reason for concern in this hurricane.
It's definitely a possibility that we will see some widespread power outages with this particular storm and just a lot of trees and debris that's going to be on the ground.
Hurricane Milton will hit cities like Sarasota, Orlando, and Daytona Beach. Kubria Gunlap is taking some time in the sun before Milton hits. The Orlando native says his friends have already evacuated Tampa.
Yeah, I have some friends that already have booked hotels in Gainesville to get out of the way. I feel like we're going through a lot right now. It's a pretty big storm.
The last hurricane to be a Category 5 at landfall in the mainland U.S. was Michael in 2018.
As Hurricane Milton approaches, the death toll from Hurricane Helene, which made landfall less than 2 weeks ago, continues to rise. More than 230 deaths have been reported across 6 southern eastern states due to Hurricane Helene. Hundreds of thousands of power outages are still being reported, with most of them in Georgia and the Carolinas. A California-based financial company, CoreLogic, reports that the cost of the destruction could surpass $30 billion, with severe damages stretching across Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas.
In the wake of Hurricane Helene, Tallahassee businesses are coming together to support residents in need.
Yes, from socks to cleaning products, the community is stepping up in a big way. Local businesses are leading the charge for a donation drive for people who have been heavily impacted in Taylor County. Businesses like Hot Head Salon and the Paper Fox Coffee Shop are just a few that are participating. Shara Bankston, the Paper Fox company co-owner, says her store has collected over 250 items for residents in Taylor County and stresses that anything helps. Bankston says certain items are critical.
So right now, what I'm hearing is totes, because they're reaching okay, we've gotten the month out, and now they're needing a place to put their personal items that they're able to salvage from their homes. So I've heard totes, and still, of course, strong cleaning rags, and dish soap, laundry detergent, anything to help the day-to-day items to be able to rebuild.
If you're in the Buck Lake area, Paper Fox may be a convenient spot for you and your donations, but most Goodwill and Salvation Armies are also taking donations. Back to you guys.
A Hurricane Helene relief worker has been arrested for allegedly stealing a Helene victim in Taylor County. The Polk County Sheriff's Office reported that the 23-year-old Anthony Gross was arrested after he stole a fishing pole from a man who lost his home during Hurricane Helene. Once the incident was reported to the authorities, Gross reportedly admitted to the theft. Gross now faces a charge of theft during a state of emergency.
With the 2024 election quickly approaching, today marks the last day to register to vote in Florida. It is important to note the same-day voter registration is not available in Florida, nor is same-day changes to your party affiliation or your address. Additionally, if you have recently moved to a new county within the state, you must re-register to vote in that county in order to vote. You can check your voter registration status or look up your voting information on the Florida Department of State website.
31% of registered voters in Leon County turned out to vote in this year's primary, according to the Supervisor of Elections office. That number is higher than the state average of 22%, but officials say the number for young voters is still much lower. Election officials are working to make the voting process convenient and clear. They say only 10% of registered voters between 18 and 25 years old voted in the primary here in Leon County this year. Florida State student Spencer Brenner says he hopes young voters turn out in larger numbers in November.
Given the ability to vote for a reason, and if you don't, you're just kind of wasting it, and you're just kind of, no offense, dead weight to the country by not doing anything. So it's important. You make your voice matter. It's an important thing to do.
Again, if you're planning to vote next month, you must register by today in order to cast your ballot. For more information, visit leoncountyvotes.gov.
Coming up on News 20, former President Donald Trump appears in Pennsylvania for the first time since the assassination attempt.
And Vice President Kamala Harris tours damage left by Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Stay tuned. You're watching News 20 at 5. Former President Donald Trump made his return to Pennsylvania this weekend for his latest campaign rally. During the rally, Trump made several references to his previous visit to Butler, Pennsylvania in July, where he was nearly assassinated. Trump also continued his insults on President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris by calling them the worst president and vice president in the history of the United States. He criticized their response to Hurricane Helene, saying that it is the worst job ever done in response to a major hurricane.
Kamala Harris has left them stranded. This is the worst response to a storm or a catastrophe or a hurricane that we've ever seen, ever. Probably worse than Katrina, and that's hard to beat, right?
Trump will make his next stop on his campaign trail tomorrow afternoon in Detroit, alongside his running mate, J.D. Vance.
Vice President Kamala Harris visited North Carolina on Saturday to meet with local officials on an update on Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. Harris spoke with several families impacted by the catastrophic storm and helped at a donation center to put together relief kits. The vice president joined at a production line where she packed deodorant and soap into plastic resealable bags.
The work that is happening here and that continues really is the best of what we can do to bring federal, state, and local resources together in a way that is coordinated with one purpose and one purpose only, which is bringing relief, support, and help to the people who are most in need and desperate for help and desperate to be seen and heard.
Harris promised federal assistance would continue to flow and added praise for the, quote, strangers who are helping each other out.
On the one-year anniversary of the terror attack on Israel by Hamas, the mother of hostages taken by the terror group pled for the return for their daughters. Biana Golodriga reports, and we warn viewers that some of the video may be disturbing.
It's any parent's nightmare, not being able to protect their child. Yet that's exactly what happened 1 year ago, on the morning of October 7th, when then 19-year-old Nama Levy was dragged by her hair at gunpoint by a militant. Her pants soaked in blood in one of the first harrowing videos that Hamas released of that fateful day. She was abducted alongside several other Israeli female soldiers at Nahal Oz military base near Israel's border with Gaza. Seen here in another chilling Hamas video. Among them was her friend Liri Albag, who was 18 at the time. Liri and Nama's mothers are still stuck on that day.
This terror attack is ongoing for a year now. Our girls are in the same terror attack.
For these two women, a ceasefire deal is standing in the way of their reunion with their children.
People in the world forget them. Our government and the
mediators,
the media and all over the world, they forget that they are still there.
In July, the families decided to release this updated photo of their daughters in captivity, saying that time is running out.
We are hoping that they are together there and helping each other survive. You know, we're trying to be strong for one another here.
There is seemingly no end in sight to their anguish. Biana Golodriga, CNN, New York.
Israelis held ceremonies, cemeteries, and memorial sites around the country, remembering the hundreds of victims, the dozens of hostages still in captivity, and soldiers killed in battle. Commemorations were also planned across Europe and elsewhere.
With Hurricane Milton still heading towards Central Florida, Autumn, what can we expect for the next few days? I mean, you just were saying you have people in Tampa, I have people in Sarasota. What can we expect?
Well, I'm from Vero Beach. We're on the East Coast, so luckily for this one, we're probably going to make it by unscathed. But later on, when I go into the weather for the rest of the forecast for this week, I'll be able to share with you all how you can best prepare utilizing the few more days of sun that we'll have as we prepare for the rain that will come in at the end of the week.
Great. All right.
Yes, I know I'm originally from Tampa, so I have people over there. They are a little worried, which is very new because people in Tampa are never scared. But
all right, well, stay tuned. You're watching News 20 at 5.
Hey Rattlers, it's Autumn here for TV20 Weather, and let's take a look at Hurricane Milton's progression as we see it here in Florida. So as I said before, it started off originally as a small tropical depression, but it has now increased to a Category 5, moving through the Gulf of Mexico. Lucky for us, as it approaches Florida, it is projected to lessen and weaken into a Category 3, but Mexico, this is right off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, and they are experiencing Category 5 winds, 160 miles an hour, as it moves northeast towards Florida at 9 miles an hour northeast. It is projected to increase in speed up to 175 miles an hour. Colin McCarthy, a U.S. storm watcher, says there are simply no words to describe the extraordinary increase in this storm and intensification that we have seen today. Now, lucky for us, hopefully this won't affect us too much in Tallahassee, but as you were seeing, the rest of our friends in Florida are going to see some storm surges anywhere from moderate to catastrophic. Now, catastrophic mostly will be hitting Tampa, but we have hopes that it will weaken to a Category 3. This should make the storm surge a little less impactful than it was. Hopefully it will be a little bit better than Hurricane Helene. But as we move through looking at this hurricane progression, we'll have a few more days of sunlight here in Tallahassee and sunny skies so that you can prepare and get everything you need to stock up for the storm. We have sunny skies today, 84 degrees. The winds, as I said before, as that 9-mile-an-hour winds push the hurricane, we're feeling those same 9-mile-an-hour winds right here in Tallahassee. But the next few days and for the rest of the night should be sunny and clear skies. We're not even going to really see much of any rain. We will see some wind gusts, 18 miles an hour, as that storm gets closer and closer to us, but the temperature should drop down to 65 degrees tonight. Now, as for the rest of our week, those sunny skies will continue for today, but as for our friends in the rest of the South, it's pretty hot. They're not really going to be seeing the effects of the hurricane. They're not even going to really see much rain. 85 in Albany, 88 in Crawfordville, high 80s across the board for the rest of our friends in the South, right in Georgia, Alabama, and here in Florida. But for here in Tallahassee, make sure you prepare utilizing these next few days of sun and sunny skies while we have it. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday shouldn't see any rainfall, but as Thursday progresses, we'll see some clouds, and that will progress to scattered showers as we move through our weekend. So make sure you can enjoy your time as you have it now while it's sunny before the storm comes. Jasmine is going to give us more on entertainment and what we can do to keep ourselves busy until the hurricane comes.
Thank you, Autumn. Hello, I'm Jasmine Dyer here with your entertainment news. So let's jump right in. On to some lighter news for all contemporary Christian music lovers. The Grammy-nominated band Mercy Me announced they will be performing this Friday at Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, along with Crowder, Cochran, and Co. This will be one of their many stops during the Together Again tour. Artists looking for freedom and expression, Florida State University's Civil Rights Institute presents a free 2-day dialogue on the future of Black artistic expression and activism. The event, titled Going to Mars, features poet and Black art activists Nikki Giovanni and Fred Moten. The discussion will cover multiple art forms such as music, poems, and film while celebrating the civil rights movement. The event will take place Wednesday and Thursday. Alec Baldwin's controversial Western Rust will finally get its world premiere, and Daniel Day-Lewis comes out of retirement. Rick Demigela has more in the Hollywood Minute.
The Alec Baldwin film Rust is set to make its debut. The Western will premiere at the Energa Camera Image Festival in Poland. The news comes nearly 3 years after cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed in a shooting incident on the film's set. The event is scheduled for November 23rd.
We're not altering the future. We're just giving it a little makeover.
Horror heads back in time. A teenager travels back to 2003 to prevent the murder of her older sister in the new thriller Time Cut. This is the first look at the freaky flick, which lands on Netflix just in time for Halloween on October 30th. Daniel Day-Lewis comes out of retirement. The Oscar-winning actor will make his big screen return in a film directed by his son Ronan. The pair co-wrote the upcoming Anemone, which marks Day-Lewis's first project in 7 years. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to FAMUTV20 Sports. I'm Alyssa Cooper, and we have a lot of sports to get into, so let's get started. The FAMU football team is back in the win column after a convincing 28-13 win over Alabama State. The Rattlers spoiled the Hornets' homecoming Saturday afternoon, pouring on the points in the fourth quarter after a slow start. Quarterback Daniel Richardson threw for 196 yards and 3 touchdowns while throwing 2 interceptions. The defense also forced 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Head coach James Colsey III spoke on his team's preparation and execution.
Deco Wilson stepped in front, finished that play. T.J. Higgins getting over the top, finishing the play. Nayron Jenkins, finishing the play. Right, so we didn't do anything differently. We didn't do anything that do any voodoo or anything of that nature. We just put ourselves in a position to finish play. I thought they did a good job preparing for Alabama State.
The Rattlers have yet another bye week before they travel to Jackson, Mississippi to play Jackson State on October 19th. It's official. FAMU volleyball runs the SWAC. The Rattlers are still undefeated after sweeping both Alabama State and Alabama A&M. Senior Brooklyn Watts reached 200 kills after tallying 13 in each of the 2 matches. Watts also added 6 serve aces to her total. Both Watts and head coach Gokhan Yilmaz shared their thoughts on what it meant for them to be back at home and playing for the home crowd.
The atmosphere here at home, it makes a big difference, and just to be able to come out here, be comfortable and stay focused, locked in, it feels really good, and to do it in front of our friends and family is really fun too.
Both of these teams looked pretty good on tape, especially Alabama A&M. We were worried what their hitters could do, but we did a good job with serving and passing, so throwing them out of system. I'm very happy we swept both teams.
The Rattlers will look to continue their win streak against rival Bethune-Cookman on Wednesday. The Florida State football team struggles continued after a 29-3 loss to Clemson on Saturday. The Tigers put up 23 of those 29 points just in the first half. Redshirt freshman quarterback Brock Glenn provided a bright spot for the Seminoles, throwing for 298 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 interception. Head coach Mike Norvell spoke on Glenn's performance and his energy on the team during the post-game press conference.
He put in a lot of work in his preparation. I appreciated his energy. He showed toughness throughout the course of the game.
FSU's next game is going to be in Durham, North Carolina on Saturday against Duke. FSU's next game will be on Saturday as they take on Duke. Major League Baseball kicked off its second round of the playoffs over the weekend with their division series. The first 2 games of each of the NLDS series are complete, with both series between the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres being split. Tonight at 7:30 in the ALDS, the Yankees look to be 1 game closer to their first ALCS since 2022 against the Kansas City Royals. The Guardians are also currently looking to win Game 2 against the Detroit Tigers after shutting them out 7-0. Both games will be on Fox Sports. That's all I have for you guys in sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey Rattlers, it's Autumn again. So I gave you all a lot of valuable updates on the Hurricane Milton as it's progressing towards us, and I'll continue updating you throughout the week, especially on Wednesday. Tune into TV20 so I can give you some updates. But that's all we have for today, not much today, and we're going to toss it over to the desk for the farewell with Caitlin and Victoria.
Yeah, so I think that's going to do it for us tonight, but hopefully everyone stays safe during the hurricane. I'm Caitlin Walsh.
And I'm Victoria Montanez. Thank you guys for watching. And remember to follow us at FAMUTVnews.com for more news updates. Stay safe and have a great evening.